It is 6:01 on Monday, June 7th, and it is my great honor to open up the meeting of the River Valley Unified School District Reorganization and Regular Board Meeting. We are going to open with our board reorganization, in which I will lead through the election of the chairperson, and then I will pass off the meeting to whoever is elected as chair. So at this time, and all you have to do is just unmute yourself, any of the elected members of the River Valley Board. I will take nominations for chair of the River Valley Board.
I'll nominate Richard Werner.
Okay, we do not need a second on nominations. So we have a current nomination for Richard Werner for chair of the River Valley School Board. I will now pause. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, doing appropriate wait time, I will now close the nominations for the chairperson of the River Valley Board. And I will go to individuals. Your yay is Richard Werner for chair, nay is a no. Mark, you nominated, you get to go first.
Yay.
All right, Laura Sibilia.
Yay.
Kate Rideout.
Yay.
Dwight Borum.
Yay.
And Rick Thorpe.
Yay.
All right. That makes it 5-0. Mr. Werner, would you like to vote?
No, I'll abstain.
Okay, Mr. Werner, you are now the chair of the River Valley Unified School District, and I will hand the meeting off to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
May
everybody.
I ask for the term? I'm filling out that form.
Everything's 3 years.
Thank you.
What's that?
It's 3 years? Isn't
No,
it 1 year? 1 year.
Oh, for chair, it's 1 year.
No, everything is all, we reorganize. We're supposed to reorganize, like if somebody resigns and we appoint somebody, we're supposed to reorganize again. Most people don't, but so we need a vice chair, and currently it's Rick Thorpe has served as our vice chair. So I'll accept any nominations for a vice chairman.
I'll nominate Rick Thorpe.
Okay. Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Rick's, please signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Besides Rick? Any abstentions? Hearing none, congratulations, Mr. Vice Chairperson.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Forgive me, but that's for a 1-year term or a 3-year term?
It's just till the next reorganization or next
1 year.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
for every position. This is only until we reorganize next year, Peter.
Got it.
Okay, so you have to win a couple elections. You got to be elected to the school board, and then you have to be elected to a officer's position. Election of clerk. I think this year the clerk has been, I think it was
Dwight.
Mark, right?
Dwight.
Dwight. Oh, Dwight. I'm sorry, Dwight. So I would need a nomination for clerk, please.
I'll nominate Dwight Borum.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Dwight, please signify so by saying aye.
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 Are there any nays? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Dwight. When we get sued, you'll be the first to know.
Sounds good.
Authorized signatures. So I think this year we did Rick and I, or the past year we did Rick and I. So this allows somebody to sign pay warrants if we don't have a regular meeting. And Lori has been good with us. Either Rick or I tell her it's okay, and then we bring them to the board at the next regular board meeting. So if I'd like to suggest that somebody authorize or nominate Rick and I to be the authorized signatures.
I'll move that we authorize Richard and Rick to be the authorized signatures for just authorized signatures.
Thank you, Mark. That one, that's not an election, it's more of an appointment, so okay, Dwight, you seconding?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, say nay. It appears as though the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Paper of record. We, in the past several years, at least in Dover, have been using the Brattleboro Reformer. We've also notified the Deerfield Valley News. I did get a request this year to bring up at reorganization that we make the authorized paper of record, the Deerfield Valley News. One of the comments made was they're the only really newspaper that consistently has somebody at all our meetings to, to report on what's happening. We did go with, we've gone with the Reformer just because it's a daily or 6-day-a-week paper versus a weekly paper. So the notification stuff is a little, it can happen a little quicker, but I got to be really honest, in the 20 some odd years I've been involved in the school board, maybe Rick, you can tell me too. We've never really had anything that had to go out. So that was so important that we, had to use next day warning or anything. So I don't know how you all feel, but I need to have somebody make a motion to have a paper of record where we put our legal notices.
Rich?
Yes.
I'm not going to make a motion, but I think it should remain the Reformer because I think we should have that flexibility. When we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, we didn't need to use it, but I think having the flexibility to have a quick meeting is important. So when it comes to the news aspect of it, I don't think there's any question that Deerfield Valley News is our paper of record, but for notices, I do think it should be the Reformer.
Well, you can make a motion and then we can have discussion.
I sort of wanted to see how other people felt, but I'll go ahead. I'll make that a motion. I move that the Brattleboro Reformer be our paper of record.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Kate seconds.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to make the Reformer our paper of record. Is there any discussion? Mark, you get first dibs again.
I think I spoke my piece. I'm not wedded to it. I mean, Deerfield Valley is a paper that covers us, but I believe in having flexibility, and the Reformer gives that to us.
Okay, Kate.
Just the print scheduling. I think that gives us the flexibility.
Is there any other discussion or comments from anybody? Okay, before we vote, I'm going to just ask Rick. I mentioned something earlier that I never had something. Have you ever been aware of any time we had to get something warned and we couldn't have a meeting because we couldn't get it warned?
We always used the Reformer, so we were always able to get it in. We did have a couple of meetings, I believe, back when we implemented school lunch, that we had to have a meeting, I believe, like within a week of one of our other meetings. And it probably would have been difficult if we had a paper that was a weekly as opposed to a daily. But that's the only time I can think of, the only circumstance I can think of where we needed to have a warning out there. And I guess it would really only be for an emergency meeting if we had to have one. So that would be the only downfall I could see. But I think that over the years, the Reformer has, the Valley News has always covered everything we need covered, I believe, in the paper much more extensively than the Reformer has. They've always given us a lot more coverage because it's our local paper. So I don't have an issue with switching over to the Valley News by any means. And I don't know what we do in that circumstance. We probably would just have to put the meeting out a little bit further. I don't know. I can't think of a circumstance where we've had to have a meeting where it had to be within like a 72-hour period over all the years. So I don't know. I guess I would ask Bill if he's run into it with any of his other boards where they've needed to get something posted in a very short period of time where you couldn't get it into the paper.
Yeah, usually it's just about special meetings about certain topics, you know, ratification of contracts. Something comes up like the pandemic or like you said with food. It's rare. It is very rare. You know, I don't have an opinion either way.
We can actually have a meeting without having it warned to an emergency meeting, can't we?
Yeah, we can post it. We just aren't, you know, there are just different requirements we have to do. We have to post it in the 3 locations and things of that nature.
So my only thought would be they, you know, the local, the paper does support us by, you know, having a reporter all the time, you know, even at our annual meeting. And I just, you know, I think it'd be good if we supported them, but I usually don't vote or make motions. So are you guys ready to vote? Is there any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Okay, it sounds like it's not a unanimous decision, so I'm gonna go around the screen.
No, sorry, Richard.
Yep,
I'm sorry. I had a delayed yes vote. I apologize.
okay. So it appears as though then the ayes have it. The ayes have it. So our next item of business is meeting dates and times. So we've been meeting at 6 p.m. on the first and third Mondays. Remember that we can pretty much do what we want, but we try to be nice to the superintendent so that he doesn't have 6 meetings all one night, even though he may like that better. Then he's only out one night instead of 6 nights. But it's on the first and third Mondays. I don't remember. You know, Dover is always on Mondays. I don't know. Was Wardsboro Mondays also, Rick, or did you guys move when we combined?
Wardsboro was always Tuesdays, I believe. I can't remember whether it was second and fourth or the first and third, but it was normally, it used to be Tuesdays. But I think Monday works out for everybody, or it seems to have so far, unless something's changed.
So you want to make that a motion, Rick?
Sure.
Okay, so we have a motion for first and third Mondays at 6 o'clock. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Rick moved, Mark seconded. Is there any discussion from the motion maker or the second person? No discussion from anybody?
So is the motion for the time as well? I don't know if I heard that in the motion.
Yes, 6 p.m.
Okay.
The first and third. So again, we can change the times if we want to go later or earlier. It's just that way those meetings are always warned, so people know that those are going to be the regular meetings, Dwight.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we can also, I mean, if over the fall we decide a better night works because, you know, Bill's doing something else on Mondays and it just doesn't fit. You know, he's doing advanced yoga or something, then we can move on and have a different night. Right now it would be the first and third Mondays at 6.
Great.
That's a good yoga pose. Any other discussion?
I see Bill only doing hot yoga, but
Hot yoga. It's here. I hope it's not hot where he is. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 It appears as though the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Appointment of truant officer. As I didn't ask Randy this time, but in the past, since we've been River Valley, Dover PD is willing to be the truant officer for both the Dover and the Wardsboro building, with the understanding that, you know, calls in Dover take priority over calls in Wardsboro. If you folks are good with that, we can appoint the Dover Police Department. We've never asked the sheriff's office, but I think, Bill, West River uses the sheriff's office, don't they?
Yes, and also we'll use the Vermont State Police for non-truancy things as well. So this is purely for truancy.
So somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we use the Dover Police Department as the truancy officer.
Do I have a
Second. Oops, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Dwight. You second
I'll
it.
second it, yeah.
I'm trying to move this so I can see y'all too. Okay, so motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 It appears as though the ayes, including the delayed aye, have it. The ayes have it. Last two things we have to do. WCSU Policy Committee member. So Mark, did we suck? I mean, did you agree to, did you volunteer to serve for that?
I think what you started saying is more accurate. I will do it if you all want me to.
Bill, do we do one or two?
One, and I support Mark's candidacy.
So
I would like
think
to nominate Mark to serve as the WCSU Policy Committee member.
Thank you, Kate. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Laura seconded it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, the
Aye.
ayes have it. We're good. Mark, there.
You didn't give me a chance to back out of it, did you?
No, I didn't. Just that one. WCSU reps. We get 3 reps to Wyndham Central, and this is actually a fairly important position because, it's when we get to say if we don't have anybody at Wyndham Central meetings, the board can decide to vote to have River Valleys pay 100% of all special education costs for all districts across the board. So it's usually good to have at least a couple of us. We get to a point 3, but what's even more important is if one of the 3 that we appoint can't make a meeting, that we have to know the meeting before, our meeting before that meeting, because we can appoint an alternate, but we're not, it's funny because we can't appoint a permanent alternate. We can only appoint an alternate for the meeting. That's correct, Bill? Is what we've been told.
That is correct.
Okay. So you have myself, Mark, and Rick have been the WCSU representatives. So I will entertain a motion for 3 WCSU reps.
I move that we appoint Richard, Rick, and Mark as our 3 WCSU reps.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Lauren, a second by Kate. And if there any, this is a vote, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, I'm gonna make a quick change. Bill, we have a meeting, a WCSU meeting, on June 16th at 6:30, correct? Okay,
Yes,
can you go to that?
that is correct.
Mark, can you make that meeting?
It's a Zoom meeting, correct?
Yes.
Yep, then I can make it.
Rick, can you make that or,
I'm checking right now, but I think so.
okay.
I'm good.
Okay, so Bill, on the off chance, like my computer did and Mark's computer blows up and he can't get on computer, can we appoint an alternate if one of us is not available for the next meeting?
Yep, you can.
Okay. Right. B, would you be able to meet on the 16th at 6:30 via Zoom if one of the other three can't make it, just so we have all three people at that meeting?
I don't think I can make that.
Okay, Kate?
I can make that on Zoom.
Okay, so,
Even though I'll be traveling.
no, that's cool, Dwight. Kate, can you, or somebody can nominate Kate, an alternate in case something comes up for one of the three regular reps?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kate, thank you for helping us out. All those in favor, say aye.
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 It appears as though the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Hey, Bill, we should plan on that, to have that as a permanent thing and do that every time before a WCSU meeting, just so we make sure that, I mean, I don't mind if we don't have a meeting because of quorum from somebody else, but when it's our board, it looks kind of bad, so.
And if I can just make one comment, anybody can go, so the alternate can still go, even if they, don't end up being a voting member, but could be a member. So
And Mark, that's a good point. You can go and you can have this, you can be part of discussion, you can be in executive session. The only thing you don't get to do is vote. And we identify the voters beforehand, just so we make sure we have a quorum. And unfortunately, like if we're short one person and we have our alternate and, but there's like West River short people, we can't fill in. I mean, we only get our 3 votes. That's our maximum, but you can have no votes. And we have seen that before. So I appreciate it. I believe that's the end. We don't have to appoint the treasurer and the assistant treasurer. That's only at the WCSU level.
That's correct.
Okay. So we're all reorganized. How does everybody feel being reorganized?
pieces are all together.
Cool. Additions or deletions to the agenda. I know we want to add under old business. I'm sorry. We want to talk about the VSBA resolution that Mark had brought up, I believe, last meeting, and Bill and I missed when we were putting the agenda together. Is there any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, then I will move right into members of the public. I see, do we have any members of the public? I got a Dana. I got a Joni. Joni or Dana, do you guys have anything?
Well, Joni's public, but she's coming from my office for the 6:30 update for you guys.
Okay. Hi, Joni. Thank you.
Hi, you're welcome.
So, Trisha's staff, Samantha's staff, Rich's, Amelia's the newspaper. Is Dana staff?
Nope.
Oh, do you have anything for public?
No, sir. Thank you for asking.
No, I just want to make sure we give everybody their chance. So, members of the staff. So besides Bill's 6:30 presentation on the homeless liaison, does anybody from the staff have anything they'd like to let us know about? I think we got a couple graduations coming up before our next meeting, the end of this week. Dover on Thursday, Wardsboro on Friday. You guys all set for those?
We are good to go, Rich.
Excellent. Then I'm going to move on to review and approve the minutes of the May 3rd and May 17th meeting. Last time at at our last meeting, we didn't have the May 3rd minutes, but I believe they went out with the packet. So can I get a motion to approve the May 3rd and May 17th minutes?
I'll make a
So moved.
motion to approve. I'll second.
Okay, Laura, you moved and Kate seconds.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any more discussion? Any discussion? I'm sorry. If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears as though the ayes have it. There's a letter about board member temporary absences. Rick, do you want to explain that, or you want me to?
It's probably more appropriate for you to explain it.
Okay,
Explain it.
So-
Excuse me, did we do May 17th minutes as well?
we did them both, May 3rd, May 17th together, Peter. So Rick was very fortunate and able to sell his house in this really hot real estate market. Unfortunately, Rick is going to find out, like everybody else has, is that trying to find people to build in houses really quickly are hard to come by. Not only that, Mark has been building his for 3 years, Rick, so hopefully you'll get me quicker than Mark. My wife is ready to kill somebody we hired to do some stairs for us. So it's really crazy out there. So Rick is temporarily going to be living in Stratton and not in Wardsboro. So in the past, I know that there's been issues where people said if you move out of town, you can't maintain your right to vote in that town. And there has actually been some case law that we found out in Dover years ago that as long as you intend to and you show intent to come back, i.e. you own land, you're having a cellar hole dug, something more tangible than we had one person try to do it saying that they had a contract on a piece of land that they had like 6 years to buy, and that didn't cut it. But Rick actually owns more land in Wardsboro and plans on building. So we did get an opinion from the Vermont School Boards Association that Rick can stay on the board. So if anybody hears anything or gets any questions about it, that's how it is or why it is. And Bill, you sent the letter, it's in the packet. I'm not going to read it, but if anybody has any questions, be appropriate now. If not, we'll move on. Everybody good? Rick, I'm definitely glad you're sticking around because you've been very helpful to the board and been a really good you've been a good asset for us. So thank you for doing it.
It's been my pleasure, sir.
So hey, guess what, folks? We're like right on time. We're actually 2 minutes early for the McKinney Vento presentation by Joni Bertram of the WCSU Homeless Liaison. So Bill and Joni, why don't you guys take it away?
So everybody, I'd just like to introduce Joni Bertram. Joni started with us this year and overlapped with our existing homeless liaison, who was kind of a bridge between the previous homeless liaison. And I don't know if you all remember, but about 2 months ago, we received a very nice letter from the state on an audit that was done on our liaison process, and Joni was a part of that. So I feel very confident Joni leading us in the appropriate manner. And one of the things that Joni and her colleagues did was get a grant for us for making sure that we have additional resources in which to provide services to our families and students that are having homeless challenges. And part of receiving that grant and part of our duty is to annually keep the boards informed about the process. And so Joni produced some very nice documents that she provided me and I sent to you all in your packet. We will not be going through every single part of those documents, but we wanted to make sure you had them all. And Joni is going to go through a little process, about 15 minutes, just kind of walking us through the board's role and what it means to be a responsible board under the federal law of McKinney Vento. So without further ado, Joni, I'm passing it off to you.
All right. Thank you very much. And I want to thank all of you for allowing me this time to be able to just bring awareness to the McKinney Vento program. I am part of a team. It's not just myself. I do receive referrals from both principals and admins, but when I reach out to families, sometimes the decision is pretty clear cut, and then other times it's not. So I do have a group of people that I do review all of the information with. And one of those is Liz Ferenc, who was the previous liaison. She's a great mentor for me. She kind of really dug right in and took a hold of the job, and she's been great for me to use as a sounding board for everything that we've been doing moving forward. I also have Bill, who I always update with anything that we get through the office. And then Stephanie Bennett Hancock also, who I actually work for, I'm her admin, that she's very knowledgeable about the families in the district. And so there's not just myself, but there is a team behind that. One of the things that was the most important that I wanted to bring is just the simple definition of what it means to qualify or to be eligible for homelessness. And it's just a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. And so two of those aspects are quite clear. Fixed. Is it permanent? Is it going to be something that's there, or is it on wheels? That's not permanent. Is it regular? Is it a consistent, safe environment for that student to be in? And that's pretty clear cut when we're doubling up and we've got people sharing bedrooms, or there's child is going from family to family and spends 2 days here, 2 days there. That's not regular. The most non-firm aspect of it is adequate, and it's very susceptible to opinion. And so that's where it sometimes becomes not as clear cut, not as eligible. And that's where we get together and talk about that. And in fact, the Dover board had a point where the family was determined ineligible and it was brought to dispute. And so my biggest takeaway I would like you guys to have is that that dispute, when I've determined somebody ineligible, falls directly to their school board.
That was
Within 10
actually
days of
River,
me
that was River Valley's. That wasn't Dover.
River Valley. Okay, I'm sorry.
Dover,
River
it was
Valley.
somebody claiming residency in Dover, but it was River Valley board heard it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so you are the only board in our district to have experienced that. So one of the things that I'd like to take a couple minutes and just have you guys tell me, is there something in the process that went through that we need to look at, something that went really well that we need to make sure we don't change? I'd just like to kind of have a minute or two of that kind of feedback from me, because you're the only board that has experienced that. Mark?
I'll just say having the materials ahead of time. I don't remember if you gave us the actual law, but having all that to read before we heard the case was really important, especially for those of us that were new on the board, had never experienced a hearing like that in the first place. So just thank you for that, and definitely send that materials out if you have another
I will
one.
pass that along to Liz. Liz was the one that was involved with that, but thank you for that. I appreciate that. Anything else? Any input other than that?
Not from me.
All right. So as Bill said, I sent you a packet. One of the things that you also are the only board in the district to be right on the ball is that you have adopted policy C13, which is the homeless policy. And you adopted it back on 12 of 2020. So it's a recent policy that you have adopted, but it's something that you will fairly regularly want to review and just make sure that it's up to date. I did include your policy as well as the VSBIT policy, and to see what their language is. I am going to share your policy with the other board meetings that I'm doing, so that I think it's good to have consistent language across the district. And I just applaud you guys for being on top of that and appreciate that effort on your part.
I don't think we diverged from the VSBA wording, so it should be the same as the VSBIT. Just formatted a little nicer.
Just formatted a little
Maybe
nicer.
a couple typo corrections, but material-wise, it should be exactly the same.
Great. So I do have an abridged book that explains a lot about the McKinney Vento, more so than the attachments that I sent with your meeting today. And it's going to be housed at Wyndham Central. So anytime any of you would like to have me send it to you and you want to read it over, please let me know, and I can absolutely do that. The attachment with the flow chart just shows you the different issues that I look at when I'm trying to determine if a family is eligible. And then obviously you can see the appeal process. It actually can be a full 75-day process, which means we have to school that child, give them the services that they have asked for, even if we determine them ineligible each way along the way for the full dispute process. we still have to make sure that that student has everything that they need to be a productive student in our district. Any questions so far? Okay, so Matt and Tammy, I have an ask of you. I'm going to be making a more in-depth presentation in late August, early September for professional development to principals, admins, and guidance. And so if you at these meetings or throughout the time between now and then come up with questions, if you can email them to me so that I can be prepared and head off those same questions at the professional development sessions, that would be very helpful to me.
I'm happy to help, Joni.
Thank you very much. Matt, I got your thumbs up.
Joni, there's one thing I would just say that, fortunately, the one that we got to hear, I actually knew kind of a person who knew the person who was, that we were discussing.
Mhm.
He called me several times because he wanted to know what was going on because the person he knew wasn't being very rational. So it was tough because I've known him for years. He's kind of not like a person I'd have over for dinner, but I consider him a friend. We've done a lot of work together. And, the biggest thing that I think we need to stress is that, you can't discuss any of it outside of the executive session. And if somebody calls a board member and says, hey, we're going to be coming to a board meeting, you right away, you got to tell the person that I don't want to hear it, because if I hear it, then I can't be, part of the hearing. So I think that's a very important, when you do that, all administrators and stuff really need to stress to the board the importance of staying neutral and, only considering the information that's presented at the hearing, not, just other stuff they may know or people they know, or, we actually had one other hearing where we had to decide if a child had bullied another child. And, we had a board member at that time say, oh, well, I know this guy and I don't want to vote for it, but we really didn't have a choice, because if he followed the rules, that were laid out for, all we were supposed to do is determine, did the administrator have the right thing? Did he identified bullying? Does that fit the definition, type of thing? It was a really difficult position for the board to be and to understand. But I think, that's really important for boards, because a lot of times board members will kind of like go out of their way to approach people, or, oh, I know that family, I'll go talk to them and I'll take care of this for everybody. So that was my only comment.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, well, I think I give you a little bit of leeway time, and hopefully it'll shorten your evening. And I do appreciate your time, and thank you very much, Bill.
10 minutes, 30 seconds. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Have a good one, Joni.
We're going to hold Bill for that extra 9.5 minutes. So.
Oh, no. Good night, and thank you again.
Thank you. So under old business, Bill, that was really nice. That, that's good that you can set those things up, and that's kind of important for boards that, hear from people.
Yep.
Nice if we could, maybe do that in the future too, with other situations that may come in other staff members, just so we get to know who they are, like when we call and they answer the phone.
Absolutely.
So I had just a review of the annual meeting for May 22nd. The voting, there was a total of 71-ish votes. The auditors did get eliminated, which I don't think broke their heart too bad, except that we did finally get an auditor from Wardsboro, but now he never gets to serve because the position's eliminated. Kate, Dwight, and I all got reelected. Kate and Dwight got a lot more votes than me, because a lot more people from Wardsboro voted than Dover. But it was, I thought I do have one takeaway on the articles from the in-person meeting. I very much wonder if a couple of those articles would have passed if it had not been a live meeting, because it was interesting that and this is just as an aside, there was quite a bit of discussion on the website article and the secondary tuition. And I think if people, they both passed unanimously at the end, but I think Rick and I were looking at each other a couple times saying, wow, I don't know if these are going to pass. And, you know, by being able to talk to people, I think it made a pretty big difference. So again, 6 of one, half done's the other, but I think it was pretty important. Any other takeaway? Anybody else had any comments in the meeting? I thought Wardsboro did a great job for us, and I thank the chairman and I guess they have co-chairs of the Wardsboro Select Board, because it was actually a pretty nice setup. And I think that, did any of you guys in Wardsboro, I know Laura, you were there for a little bit, but that meeting seemed quite a few more people showed up for town meeting than the school meeting. So all the articles passed, the website and secondary tuition. So Mark, not to add more things to your plate, but I know you can't get around very well. So I think, you know, the website money won't be available till July 1st, technically, but we should figure out how we're going to move that forward. And there was also a comment that Andy, our school district clerk, made that we mentioned that we were using, we did the number of 30,000 based on what the town had received for estimates. And it's, I believe, Rick, didn't Andy say that, or somebody, Kate, maybe, or Laura, that the town of Dover actually is doing it quite a bit cheaper, or they redid it? Go ahead.
They said, Andy was saying that the town of Dover got a quote for around 10,000 and we asked for money up to 30. So we were clear at the meeting that we knew that we didn't have to fully spend the 30, but that way it gave us the leeway, and it depends on what we get back in our RFP process. But we'd love to hear more about what Dover is doing for the town, so we can maybe reach out to that vendor.
Go ahead, Mark.
The 30,000 was not based on Dover. You guys asked me to work with Shannon, and I got a lot of material from Eric, the economic position. But their website is going to be a very, very basic website. None of the complications that we're looking for are part of their quote, which is why their quote was so much lower. I don't see a website for us coming in under 30,000, especially now. They're making money like you wouldn't believe right now. Their rates are going up, not down. So I don't see it happening. And yeah, but it was not based on Dover's at all.
Okay, well then that was my fault, and I apologize for that. But we only have up to 30,000. We don't have any over that.
Oh, I know. That's what we asked for.
Yeah. Okay. So how are we going to move that forward?
Gonna have to create a new RFP. What's today, is the 7th? I'll try to have something for the first meeting of July. Oh wait, we're only meeting once in July, right?
Yes.
So I'll try to have something for whenever that meeting is.
Oh, well, again, we have until next June 30th to spend the money too. So we don't. I mean, if we want to do it right, and you want to take a little bit longer, that's fine too. We can do it in August, and we want to give people 30 days to get numbers back, and give whoever we're going to do on the group, time to review the numbers and stuff. So, I mean, don't try to force it in and get it too quick so we can't get it done either.
No, I think that this piece is going to be a little bit more extensive than the last one, and it's going to take input from everybody here. So I'm not saying we're going to have an RFP to put out in July. I'm saying I'm going to bring you a first draft in July, and try to. I'm not promising it.
Okay. No, that's good then. Is everybody okay with that? So is there anybody who can work with Mark so that we have some assistance with that? Is there anybody that is, Kate, you want to do that? Because you guys can do that probably like same time you're doing your policy stuff, Mark, then.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Mark. I see Dwight. He said he may have to leave for a minute at 7, so he's probably still here. Well, when Dwight leaves, we'll start appointing him to a bunch of stuff. So, waiting study implementation. I'll let Mark and Laura maybe take turns with that one. Laura, you want to go first?
Want to give them the good news, Laura?
Yeah, the governor signed the bill today. Do I know? I know who the House is putting on, but I don't know if it's public yet, so I can't say. But I'm happy about it.
You are or are not?
I am happy about it.
Okay.
Not all of the people's, but
I think I can imagine the one.
so it's good. So hopefully they'll get going pretty soon here, and yeah, I feel good about the folks that are going to be on there. So
Mark, you got any?
No, I mean, we're really happy to get the news today. And on behalf of the coalition, excuse me, for Vermont Student Equity, thank you, the board, for the donation. Between our donation and an increased donation from Marlboro that they voted on, we are going to be able to increase the services that we're getting from Leonine, which is going to make a very, very big difference over the next few months. So thank you. It really is going to make a big difference.
Okay. Anybody else with implementation? Hey, Bill, Lori just kind of does this on her own now. We used to be involved in it, but do we have what she filed with the state that shows the tax rates?
You mean like
do we have that for town meeting?
Yeah, we had to have it, didn't we?
Yeah.
No, we have there's Lori.
As of, I don't know, it was probably a couple of days after you voted. No, I have to do a whole worksheet that goes to Brad James, and it's actually still in review before then Bill signs off on it, but it has been submitted to the state.
Okay, so do you know what? So you don't know what our rates came out yet because they wouldn't wait. They would wait till the governor either signs it or waits the length of time. So can we do that? Do you think on the meeting on the 21st we'll be able to get that?
If they're out, I'll gladly get them for you, but I don't know. I think they come out actually in July, to be honest with you. Like I think that.
So the form you submit doesn't show the tax rate. The form we always submit always showed the tax rate.
Does not show the tax rate. I submit a form that the state provides that shows revenues and expenditures, and transfers from reserves and that type of thing. And then it's basically the same thing as that 3-year comparison that was at your town meeting. But
Okay.
things are still in flux, right? So what did the governor sign the yield bill for? Might have been a little different than what was on that 3-year comparison, right? I think he may have signed it. What was it, Laura? Do you remember? I don't remember.
That number, I don't remember. That number moves.
Right. And so that's why it's never set in stone until those tax rates come out. But I'm happy to get them as soon as I can.
Well, thank you.
Rich?
I can look it up right now, actually.
One
Go ahead,
really
Mark.
quick thing. At our last meeting, there was some, and you guys may have discussed this at the annual meeting. I haven't watched the video yet. But there was some confusion about what the savings was going to be for the suspension of the excess spending penalty. And the spreadsheet that Lori sent out does show that that specifically is a 12-cent savings for river valleys. So I just want to
Yeah, you know what? Well, Lori, let's do that at a future meeting. Let's just kind of go over what that did for us when we have real numbers. Because, again, I do agree with that. The pupils are finally fixed and they were in flux for a long time, but it makes a big difference because it shows, where your excess spending is depending on what the yield is, because when you multiply that out. So Mark, we'll have that discussion. Bill, can you make sure that that's on the agenda? Probably the July or August meeting. Okay. Mark, is that okay to hold off on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You did get a copy of what we gave out, though, the 3-year comparison. We showed the two.
I just have the last one that Lori had sent us before one of our meetings, but no, I didn't get a copy of whatever handouts you had. But I did start watching the video, and took me a little while to understand who Jeremy was.
I explained it.
I know. I thought Bob was going crazy.
Go ahead, Lori.
If you look at the superintendent's report, there is a link to an all district comparison in there. And that's what Mark is referring to. And that basically is the layout of the 3-year comparison. And those are the numbers that I submitted to the state as far as revenues and expenses.
Okay, I can't look at that while I'm in a meeting because I can't.
Okay. I just wanted people to be able to see where they could get the information.
Okay, so are we all good on the waiting study implementation and the school meeting? Any other comments, thoughts? Okay, future school district meetings. So this is just, Lori, one of the things that we came away from. Rick and I were very fortunate that we were in downtown Wardsboro, and Rick had his smartphone and he was able to look up tuition rates. So, and I put it in my brief write-up, is in the future, I really think we do need to have the current tuition rates for the 3 schools and what the statewide average is, and Burton, and then what the proposed is or what we're using for numbers. Because again, that conversation was kind of going sideways on secondary tuition until, we compared it to the Leland and Gray rate, which the Burton, Leland and Gray was not that far off, or Twin Valley, I don't remember which. And in that, because again, somebody brought up the fact that, well, if we cut this, we're saving, 200 secondary students times, $3,000 is a lot of money. And so I think that's something that we really need to make sure is in the book somewhere.
Will do.
Yeah, and other than that, I thought everything else is pretty good. Rick or Kate or Laura, anything else from the meeting you guys think of?
I felt like it went really smoothly. I mean, just personally, it wasn't a lot. I mean, like as you said, it was the secondary tuition that I think generated more than even, the talk about the website or anything. It was really, it seems like somebody brings that up every year and we need to explain it with the same explanation each year. And had we had the tuition rates, we could have said, it's really only a $200 or $300 difference between what we'd have to pay to a school like Leland and Gray, which is a public school, which we're obligated to pay, versus the kids going to Burton. It's just not that big of a swing. And it seems like, at least since we've been River Valleys, every year, it seems to come up as kind of a point of contention that gets batted around. So it just, having everything there at our fingertips about what the tuitions are. And I think explaining that if they go to a public school, it doesn't matter what the tuition is, we have to pay it. So if somebody chooses to go to a public high school that has a high tuition rate, we have no control over that. And we can't send our students to school just because it's a lesser cost, that we have no control over that because we're a choice town. So I just think that maybe setting it up like that ahead of time might make for a little bit less discussion about it. It just seems like people are fairly ill-informed about how the whole process works. So maybe if we did just a little short presentation about it before we got to it, it might make people just a little bit more educated in their decision making and the discussion as it moves forward.
Kate, go ahead.
So along those lines too, like, and I think it was a $90 difference this year between Leland and Gray and Burton. But the other factor that we didn't really talk about with cost is that Leland and Gray students, we also transport those students from our towns to Leland and Gray. With the Burton students, we do not transport at this point in time. Like, so just, you know, those factors too. I think those are important things to just share with people and maybe share the impact, the financial implications of those.
You know, both of what both you and Rick are saying, I think is important. That Lori, when we do set up that page where we explain the tuition, we should maybe do a little bit that, you know, we have to vote on this every year. If we don't vote, you know, it's just a statewide average. And, you know, that we currently transport to these 3 schools and the Career Center, whatever. And just, I mean, it doesn't have to be a long, it was interesting because I think what Rick and Kate, you know, when Andy asked that question about, you know, transportation, it was sort of like the person that first brought it up, then all of a sudden said, well, now that you say that to me, you know, I'm good with this and let's, you know, move forward. So, you know, maybe a little bit of an explanation up front will help a little bit. So we'll work on that next year. We'll get it perfect, Lori, by the time we all retire, okay? In 2 years, 3 months, 6 days, 5 hours, 37 seconds.
What's the date? What's the date of our next meeting?
The date of our next meeting should be the 21st.
No, the next annual meeting.
We'll talk about that in the spring fall. Can't predict the future. We may all be gone by August. Anybody else anything on the meeting? Okay, let's go to new business. Pay warrants. Yay, Lori. Where'd Lori go? She's hiding again. So, did everybody get to see the pay warrants that went around? Any questions for Ms. Garland? Go ahead, Mark.
Just one. 2463. Visa gift cards. What are we buying Visa gift cards for?
For me.
Well, you didn't share them though. That's not right.
I don't share well.
Was that check number 2463?
Check number 1004.
Okay. All right. I'll have to look it up. It doesn't ring a bell, to be honest.
It was a whole bunch of Walmart purchases, and Visa gift cards were one of them.
I think that might have been a grant that was coming out of, not the general fund, which the way the system works right now, you're sort of getting all of the payables, but you're really only responsible for what comes out of the general fund as far as approving. But I will check into that and let you know exactly what those were for. But it sounds to me like it was a grant coming out of a grant.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
So, Lori, I can't jump around, and I got lost a couple times, and I lost a few things. What is the number we need to make a motion to approve?
Okay, so it's I'm not muted, right? Because I'm looking at something else either. Okay. So it's AP number 36. The pay order was number 36. And it was $106,000, $61.84. 106,061.84 for Peter's record.
That made me feel really good. Thank you, Lori, that you pretended to fumble like with the computer and get lost. So can I get a motion from somebody? Peter's got the number to approve AP number 36 in the amount of $106,061.84.
Moved.
Laura moved. Do I have a second?
Kate seconds.
Kate seconds it. Mark is waving his hand a little slow today. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Appears so the ayes have it. The ayes have it. I'm going to bounce around just a little bit here. Mark, the policies, these are the first time we're looking at these, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Which, if we're moving to policies, I have one comment, not on this, not on these policies, but about policies in general.
Okay. How long do you think we're going to need to do for policies?
The first two are going to be really fast, and I think they'll all be really fast.
Because I noticed, is it Lori or Lori? Which Lori is the one that you want to ask somebody about something on the admission of resident students, or you had a comment?
We got feedback from both Lori O'Hearn and Jennifer Finaldi on the
Okay.
not on the policy, but on the affidavit, which we don't vote on technically, but so we got input from them, and we made corrections based on made changes based on their input.
Okay. Well, then I thought we were going to need them. So I thought we were going to need Lori Garland. So I was going to get her out by doing the policy first, but we don't need her. So let's do the research project first draft, because I think Lori's involved in that, and then Lori can take off if that's okay. So Bill, I'm going to turn things over to you. I don't know how you want to do this.
So I sent the board, there were two separate spreadsheets. One spreadsheet was the building, transportation, and food service that our director of operations prepared for you all. And then another one was based on structure. And I prepared that, and then Lori did her magic with all the numbers. So I could share my screen and kind of go through this. My goal for tonight is to get feedback from the board, because remember, the board's goal for this research project was to discuss the research project at your retreat on July 19th. I was to bring forth a first draft tonight, and if necessary, a second draft on the 21st. So what I'm looking for is questions or clarification or feedback from the board that would have us adjust what we've provided for you for the second draft on the 21st in preparation for the board to have a discussion on July 19th. Does that all make sense to everybody? All right, well, why don't I share my screen, and I'll go through the structure stuff. I'm not going to go through the other stuff because I think that's unbelievably self-explanatory. It's laid out just like a capital needs assessment under the areas of building, under the areas of transportation, and under the areas of food service.
Hey, Bill, just before you start.
Yes.
We're not, right now, it's nothing specific that we're going to discuss. You just want to get feedback that, is there more information?
Absolutely. If you look on the agenda, I left 5 minutes for this. So I was counting on all of you to have read everything prior. And it's just simply, Bill, I didn't understand this. Could I ask a clarifying question on this? But you're right, Rich. This is not a discussion on the merits or the content. It's just clarification and, things that you would like me to further explain on the 21st or the 19th.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point.
So Bill, I don't remember what you just said, but there was one thing I didn't understand. Can you explain it further?
Go for it.
Number 5.
Okay, I'll share my screen so everybody can see what we're talking about.
That's the primary in COMM.
Okay. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Outstanding. All right. So you want to see God, I don't know how to do this stuff. Lori
Yeah.
encouraged me to do,
Nope, that's the wrong arrow.
okay, which arrow, man?
That,
You got to go down lower. There you
Right
go.
there?
there
Yep.
you go. Yep.
Perfect. Find
All
number
right.
5.
Number 5. Okay, Mark.
What's the physical structure of that? It's probably on there and I just missed it.
No problem. This is called primary in the community. Means that a pre-K through 2 would happen in both towns, and 3 through 6 would be combined on the Dover campus.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to go back to the first sheet. I'm not planning on going through each one if people don't have questions. I can. I like you all. How do I get that first sheet that Lori did? Where'd that go?
I think one more. Keep me
Notes?
hit the arrow. Hit the other arrow.
The arrow to the left
arrow.
in the
Oh,
bottom left-hand corner.
The bottom left.
Yeah.
You got to drag your
There you go.
bar over as well.
Ooh.
Oh, that'll do it. You get the.
There it is. Okay. Because that way you can see all 7 of them. One question I have for the board is when I met with Greg, our director of operations, and talked about the amount of work that would go into us providing you guys what it looked like to have one campus where we go and find land and build a school that was for K through 12. That's an enormous amount of work. And I guess I need clarification if the board really wants me to go do that work. I will do it. But that scenario involves a campus that is not where either one is. It's finding land. It's costing out building a building, hiring staff for a K through 12 environment like they would have in Cabot or something like that.
Hey, Bill, I guess, on that, we're not looking for exact numbers, but you can call the Department of Labor and Industry, find out how much they, places are getting for a square foot to build a school building, including land. And then you can just say on a if you had a K-12 situation, what are the square footages they're recommending, the building's got to be, and then just multiply it out.
Okay.
It seems like it'd be more complex than that. It seems like then you'd also be like putting together a hypothetical school for K through 12 and figuring out all the different services that might possibly be needed. And that seems like a crazy amount of work.
Not really, because he's got Leland and Gray that he runs, that he can just take the numbers from there. It's just, and just apply it to the percentages of students. I mean, again, these aren't exact numbers. These are just giving us a ballpark figure to look at so we can say to people, yeah, we looked at having a K through 12 and, it didn't make any sense at all because it was twice as expensive as every other possibility. I mean, I don't know.
Richard?
The fact that it's cheaper.
Richard?
Oh, go ahead.
So just with regards to Leland and Gray, I mean, I don't think we should assume that they are currently operating at the most efficient level. Like if we were starting a school from scratch, would it be staffed exactly that way,
But again, we're not going down that route to that finality. My thought is then take Leland and Gray, Brattleboro, and Twin Valley and take the average. It'll give you a rough number. I mean, that's what we're looking for. If the numbers come out that, it may be a lot cheaper, then maybe we'll want to go down that rabbit hole more. But at least people can't say that, well, you didn't check into this, or I had this idea and you didn't look into that. I don't think it's that hard to do. I mean, if you want, I'll do it. It's not.
I don't know. I think if you're looking super raw and I'm just looking at square footage for a building and I'm looking for staffing for K through 12, I can do that in a efficient manner. That, I mean, I appreciate the question from both you, Rich, and you, Kate, because it's both ends of the spectrum, right? Because my mind goes to where Kate was talking about, like, okay, special ed and building and staffing, but if it can be big and really at the 30,000 foot level, I can get you guys something by the 21st. I'm okay with that.
So Richard, how useful is that though?
Well, I don't know, Laura. I don't know what questions we're going to get. So what if 50 people show up and say, well, why didn't you look at a K through 12? Well, we have looked at it. You remember we were petitioning Dover at one time. We met with Whitingham and Wilmington, and we, we're looking at going into a K through 12 with the 3 different towns. So I don't know. Come up.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, my question about how useful that is I think what I'm hearing is we could get something that's super rough. And this is absolutely my last comment on this, because I don't care to push much harder on this. But if we're asking Bill to come in with something that is really like super high level, how useful is that to us? So that's in terms of being able to say, so we can say, yes, we looked at it, and here's what it is, but the number could vary. I mean, it could vary significantly. I mean, could you easily provide us some sort of a scale, Bill, about variability as well, or no? I could be off by 50% either way, or I mean.
I could provide something that'll give you guys an idea, and then we can go from there. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Bill, can you take your screen share off so we can see everybody?
What? Come on, man.
I like seeing shiny bald heads.
That was the correct answer.
My personal feeling is that if you can give us a number within 3 to 5 million on that type of scale on a K through 12, that's good enough for me, because that's gonna tell me enough whether or not we're going a step further. I'm only speaking for myself.
I can easily provide something for you on the 21st. I appreciate understanding the scale. I could do it. I just didn't want to go so far down the rabbit hole that I think Kate in my brain went to. And I just wanted clarification on that. And I think I've got it. So I'm okay.
Kate, when's the big day?
I haven't determined yet.
Hey, Bill, back to the rabbit hole though. I mean, yeah, I don't want to do like Jamaica was doing or Leland Gray, like here, this piece of land is available. We could probably buy it for this. I think we're just looking real high level, and we can use some rough estimates. And then if because whatever they're paying, other schools are doing school construction. There's a square footage, it all breaks down to how much per square foot. And you'll know roughly what you need for how many square feet to do it. And maybe
Sure.
The cost is just out of whack. But then again, we never know what's going to happen in Most Peculiar when they get back into that Kool-Aid again in the next winter. And maybe they're going to give $10 million to a school that wants to build a whole new building, and for free. So,
We might be going back in October, so buckle up.
oh, cool. Will you be drinking
We're going.
or sangria? But anyways. So yeah, I don't think you need to go and say like you're gonna have 12 guidance counselors and 3 math teachers, but
Yeah. I can rough something up. No problem.
okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna shut up now.
No problem. So following up, are there any other clarifying questions before the 21st? Anything that stuck out to you? Remember, you guys are going to be discussing on July 19th. This is simply to get it into a form that you guys can have a discussion.
I'm not going to shut up. Is there anything that you need from us? Like, the question you had about the secondary, the numbers. Were there any things that popped out at you and Lori, Matt, Tammy, or Greg?
Lori did her normal outstanding job that you can see on the summary sheet. and also parsed throughout each option. Greg had a really good meeting with Dwight and Rich, and met with me multiple times, kind of stretching out what that deep dive of the transportation, building, and food service look like. And I tried to work on the structural stuff. So really my biggest question was, you guys have answered it about the scenario of running a K-12 within the community, which is helpful.
I'll just say, I think that the presentation it has more information than I thought we were going to get. And it's very well laid out, and I found it very understandable. So I thought it was very good. You all did a great job.
Thank you, Mark.
I don't like all the numbers, but.
Presentation is Lori Garland's expertise, and she is coaching me along the way. So.
Laura, you're doing a great job.
I just asked him to use Excel to make my life easier, to be honest.
It was hard for me though, man. But that's what we got for you, board. I'm good for the 21st. I know what to do.
Okay, let's rock and roll on then.
Well done. Thank you, guys.
Laura, you can go bye-bye if you want. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Night. Thank you.
Approved contracts. Bill, you sent a spreadsheet of all the contracts.
Yes, I did. And I need a motion from the board to allow the board chair to actually sign the contracts. So we're collecting them. If you remember, we had a tight timeline. Teachers had a tight turnaround time. So HR is collecting them. And on the spreadsheet is not only locally paid, but you have some grant funded positions on there. But everything matches what you guys approved for the budget. But I need a motion for the chair to be able to sign the contracts so that I can bring them over to the chair, have them sign it, and then I can get them out to our colleagues.
I'll move to authorize the chair to sign the employment contracts.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Rick. So we have a motion and a second to approve the chair to sign the contracts as presented by the superintendent on the spreadsheet. Okay, is there any discussion? If not, y'all ready to vote? Okay, seeing no questions, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It appears as though the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Okay, so Bill, get them to me. I'm going over to Grace Cottage, I think on Wednesday, if you have them back.
Thanks, Rich. Once I get them, I'll reach out to you and we'll make it work.
Okay. Is there any other business? Yes, go ahead, Mark.
The employment sort of question. I just wanted to ask Matt where we stood with the, God, I'm losing my mind. Was it a second grade teacher?
The third grade position, the
Third
teacher
grade.
accepted the contract and will be joining us this fall.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that in the contracts assigned, Matt?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I couldn't remember her name. That's why I had to ask.
Her name is Anne Marie Scott.
There you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other new business that we didn't get a chance? Dwight, welcome back, sir. Okay, if there's no other new business, then Mark and Kate, why don't you go ahead and lead us through these three policies that we want to discuss?
All right, I'm just gonna jump in. A1 and E1, I think we can do together. There are no changes. These are the same policies that were approved in 2017. I don't even think that I made any typo changes. Just reformatted, that's all. So we were just asking, and I will move that the board mark the A1 and E1 policies as reviewed on today's date.
I would like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for A1 and E1 to be, that there's no changes and that just that they've been reviewed on this date. I just want to say something. I got to tell you folks that on the A1 board member conflict of interest, I saw some really atrocious things in a couple of different board meetings, not ours, and not the same board meeting, but I saw one chairman tell somebody he couldn't abstain and that he had to vote. And then I saw another group talk with a board member to tell the person whether or not they should abstain. Just remember, and I know I'm pretty sure it's in the policy, is the board can't tell somebody you have to abstain. And the public can't tell you, and Bill can't tell you. It's got to be from you. You got to decide whether or not you want to abstain. So don't let, I'm not going to be here forever, but I thought that if I was that board member that had the board chair telling him you can't abstain, you have to vote, I don't know how I would have reacted, but it wouldn't have been pretty. So just kind of remember that. So if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of A1 and E1 being marked as reviewed with no changes, say aye.
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 Are there any nays? It appears as though the ayes have it. The ayes have it. So A1 and E1 need to be posted, need to be marked that they were reviewed on this date with no changes. C31, admission of resident students. Mark and Kate, take it away.
So before we jump into this, I just want to respond to what Rich said in regards to I really am losing my mind, abstaining. One of my thoughts is to put together some board norms for us. West River does it, although I don't think they do it as well as they used to, but they do it. And it is a recommendation that is also coming down from the VSBA, but that I would, in my mind, would include something like no one can tell a board member how to vote, something along those lines. So it's on my long list of things I'd like to do. So I was just throwing it out there. Kate, you want to take this or?
Sure. So this policy was definitely it's kind of a tricky one. But it's the admissions of resident students, and we have had the affidavits. We have a lot of tools that we have in place for the two different offices to utilize. I feel like I'm stumbling through this. Mark, do you want to explain it better? I feel like you probably.
I don't know that I'll do any better, but I'll go ahead and take it. There are two parts to this. There's a policy currently numbered C31, and then there's which we vote on. And then there's the affidavit, which is a procedure that's put into place by the administration. Majority of our changes were on the affidavit. For the policy itself, it is a River Valley's only policy. This is not a VSBA policy. So we are recommending that we renumber it to C51, which will put it into our numbering scheme. And we did remove one section.
The current place of employment.
Right.
Which with today's remote workplace doesn't make as much sense as it used to.
Exactly. See, I told you I'd stumble through it also. So we are recommending that we renumber C31 to C51, remove section or number 3, and post it for warning, or warn it and post it to be readopted at our next meeting. I can go through the changes that we made on the affidavit after we vote on the policy, if you all want. But basically, we took the advice of the feedback of Lori O'Hearn and Jennifer Finaldi who were great. And they gave us really detailed feedback. And we think it's a better form, something that's easier for them to work through with new families coming in, and we have clarified some sticky situation ones that will no longer be sticky situations, where it was unclear what type of documentation would be needed.
Hey, Bill, can I just ask one quick question? So Mark and Kate, at our executive committee meeting last week, Stratton, has had a lot of issues with tuitioning students or people claiming residency. I think, Bill, they've had a few hearings, haven't they, recently?
Yeah, we've had 2 that have gone all the way up to the Secretary of Ed.
So how close is our policy to their policy? Because they've been
98% the same. I mean,
and they've been successful in the 2 of their cases, haven't they?
they have. Their last 2, they have been successful, which is an amazing track record.
Especially in the state of Vermont with this, because I mean, it seems to be that the state didn't put a lot of weight into it in the old days. So I just want to make sure that we're pretty similar. So.
Oh no, and this affidavit is clean. It gets to the heart of the matter. It allows us to ask for more information if we want. I mean, it's good. You guys did a nice job.
And what was it, a year and a half ago, 2 years, whenever it was that we first looked at this policy, what Bill, you guys brought to us was the Stratton policy. Yeah. And then I think Dwight and I mutilated it to some extent and made it a River Valley's policy. And we took out a lot of the unnecessary part of the affidavit.
Yeah, but you guys support the law, which is the most important thing, because at endgame, they don't care about our policy. They don't care about our affidavit. They just care about the statute, and they care about evidence towards the statute. And that's what this affidavit does. So it's a good job.
Okay. So would somebody like to make a motion that we post the new C51 that used to be C31 with changes?
I'll make a motion that we post the new 51, which used to be C31.
And I'll second. Post and warn, right?
Post and warn, yeah. And is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 It appears as though the ayes have it. The ayes have it. So Matt and Tammy, make sure you post that puppy, and then we see the little hole in the corner of it.
So, Rich?
Yes.
3 policy-related comments. One, we are meeting this Friday, 9 a.m. Via Zoom. Everyone's invited. Bring your friends. 2, one of the things that we are discussing sort of on an ongoing basis, but what policies we want to consider and look at for the future. So if you guys have thoughts on what you'd like to see, please let Kate and I know so that we can get it on our agendas. And third, I don't remember what number it was, but we did pass the consent agenda policy, which we should start using.
Yeah, next meeting. I was a little slammed the last couple of weeks, so
okay, I was just
get that. But thank you. Is there anything else on policies with anybody? Bill, you got an executive session issue? No?
No, I do not. Sorry.
Well, I'm really sorry. We got to do something for the next half hour to use up the extra time we were allotted.
Efficiency.
Incredibly talented, Mr. Chair. Truly.
Yes. So
I'm happy with my vote.
You're earning the big bucks.
So, but let's take 2 seconds. July 19th for the retreat. Are people comfortable to do that one in person somewhere?
I'm going to say the same thing about that I gonna say about our regular meetings going forward. If we're gonna do it, I think we need to do it on Zoom as well. I don't think that's a cat you put back in the bag.
I don't know. I got a lot of burlap sacks. I put cats in with rocks and tie them.
Richard,
Sorry. They say that on public. There's no Rich here, is he? Anyways, folks.
Personally, I may not be mobile yet then. Just an FYI. I've got at least 4 more weeks, but it could be longer.
Oh, well. That's tough in the hot summer, Mark. Okay, so you know what?
Bigger and bigger.
Bill, let's make sure for the June 21st meeting, we have a discussion about the future meetings, whether they're in person. Is the Wyndham Central one on the 9th, Bill, can we do that? Can you and I at least be together for that one? And anybody that wants to be?
It'll be on the 16th, not the 9th.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And Rich, I am always honored to be able to be in a room with you to have a meeting. So absolutely, sir. I would enjoy the opportunity.
This one got really tough because my fan, if I have my fan on, you guys can't hear me, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. Dwight will tell you, and it's hot in here. So I'd like to be somewhere. So let's talk about that. So Mark, I know you had a bunch of suggestions too. So can you resend that to Bill so we can add that to the agenda, or with the packet he sent out?
Way ahead of you. It was in the packet for today.
Oh, it was again? Okay, I missed that.
We're
Sorry.
making sure that everybody has time to review. I'll include it on the 21st as well.
Okay, so Mark, go ahead and make the motion that you've been waiting for, dude.
I never make this one.
Oh, Laura?
move we adjourn.
Cool. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.